Okay, this is part 2 of the D Captain Australia and Inca interview. Boom, boom. Okay, so you're asking how many animals I had seen. So,
what animals have you seen?
Oh, what animals I had seen. Yep, so one koala, a few goannas, a bunch of snakes, a lot of foxes, and you know those hares? Not these kind of hares. Oh, and by the way, I need to acknowledge a daily donor dare of doom from a very, very evil young person, a supervillain named Haley. It was not the worst dare that I've had to do. It could have been much worse, but she said I had to wear my beard in a braid all day. So as you can see, it's been braided up, and I look just delicious. So, yeah, that's a daily donor dare of doom, just acknowledging it and executing it. Hares, but not this kind of hare. A bunch of them. Foxes, I've seen foxes. Leeches, I had a leech in my back. I had a tick in my neck. That was gross. Lots and lots of dogs. Plenty of dogs.
We have a dog.
Horses and cows and human beings. I guess we're types of animals. Lots of birds. I saw a magnificent sea eagle flying overhead once. It was just like big, massive, majestic bird. What have I missed? I don't know. That's probably a pretty good representation of it, I think. Yep. So what was question 3, sweetheart?
Question 3, that was question 3.
Okay.
How old were you when you started walking?
I left on my birthday. So I was 50 years old. And I'm still 50 years old. I'm 50 years old and 70 days. Yeah. So, yeah, it was my birthday. And it was also the anniversary of 5 years after my treatment for a very serious cancer. So I had just been released from hospital and they told me, you beat it. But I'd only beaten it physically. I hadn't beaten it psychologically, so here and in here. And that's what the big walk has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to find strength. It's allowed me to take things that, like pain, that I didn't need to carry forward with me and leave them on the beach and get better. And while getting better, it's allowed me to be of service and help the kids who are threatened by pediatric cancer. So, yeah, I'm 50 years old and 70 days. And, yeah, I feel very, very wonderful, actually. And I'm so glad to be here talking to you, Inca, today. So what else have we got on that little magic book of yours?
Do you have a pet?
What does that say?
Do you have a pet?
You can't write that down there, Inca. It says Captain Australia is easily the cutest superhero in the world. Isn't that just really cool?
No.
Oh, Inca. Oh, dear. I like that very much.
This is what it actually says.
Oh, she's proven me wrong. She's bush lawyered up on me, people. You've proven Captain Australia's a liar. All right, let's go. Rock and roll. What's the next question, mate?
Do you have a pet though?
Do I have a pet? Yeah, we've got a dog at home, Harry. So he's our only pet. He's a lovely little dog. So he's a Border Collie cross, part Border Collie, part Arab Bulldog of all things, and he's full of beans. And when I was getting better from my sickness, he would always be with me when I was walking around and getting healthy. And yeah, I'm sure that he misses me a bit because he's still getting walked, but nowhere near as long or as frequently. Yeah. So Harry, my mate Harry, Stinky Harry, he's a good dog.
The next one is, why is your name Captain Australia?
Well, you've got Thor. He's Thor. You've got the Hulk. You've got all those Avenger guys, right? And key on that team is Captain America. And what's Captain America about? He's about, da-da-da, I'm a good guy, save the world, blah, 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 blah. And what I thought was, we needed an Aussie version of that. So, I've got the same similar sort of costume with the stripes down my tummy. And this is, I've got a green version. This is my Desert Warrior version, so I'm more brown. So if I were on the beach and we got attacked, I could just duck into the sand and no one would see me. But the idea is the Aussie version of Captain America. So that's why Captain Australia. It's a bit of a mouthful, but you can just go Cap or Simon if you want.
What is your real name?
Fred. No, Barry. Well, I've got a few people bubbling around in here, so it depends on what time of day you ask, Inca. No, my real name's Simon. Simon Harvey is my actual name. And I have 3 sons and a wife, and I live in Brisbane.
Okay. How far have you walked?
I reckon we're at about that 1900 kilometre mark. So I won't know until I get home. When I get home, I'll be able to map out the way that I came. But until I do that, it's a bit of guesstimate, because if you put it in Google Maps and you say from here to Brisbane, it'll probably say about 1700 kilometres. But I didn't go directly down the motorway. I went all over. Oh, we got some weather going to come in pretty soon, I reckon. Captain Australia's going to get wet today. But yeah, I'd say about 1900 kilometres, Inca, something like that.
Were you born in Australia? And I think that's a yes.
Yep, definitely born in Australia. My grandfather was French. My grandmother was Aussie born. Yeah, born in Australia, and all of my sons were born in Australia, but my wife is from the Philippines. And my eldest son was actually born over there as well. We brought him over when he was born.
Do you walk at night?
I try not to, because it can be dangerous. One of the biggest dangers when you're walking is doot, 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 boo! You trip over, and you got vines and stuff that can wrap around your shoe. And if you trip over, I mean, you might fall on a spiky branch and puncture something, or you might fall onto the road a little bit and get hit by a vehicle. So walking at night's iffy. And it also means if you're walking at night, well, you're going to have to sleep eventually, so you're pitching camp at night too. And that's dangerous, because you can't see if there's any snakes or falling hazards from trees. So I try not to, Inca. I try to finish by about 7:30 in the evening, so that I can pitch a camp in daylight.
My bedtime's 7 o'clock.
What? Aren't you like 15 years old? Your bedtime should be 9:30.
No, I'm 8.
I'm going to talk to you after this is done. I will talk to your mum. That is wrong. That should be illegal. 7 o'clock bedtime.
I wake up at about 4 a.m.
Well, that's because you're going to bed while the sun is still in the sky, Inca. If you went to bed at 8:30, then you'd be waking up at 6.
Even if I go to bed at like 9:30 or the middle of the night, I still wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. all the time.
Well, if that happens, you should stay in bed and try not to get up out of bed, and see if you can make yourself sleep a bit longer. Train yourself out of that, because getting up at 3 in the morning, nobody should be awake at 3 in the morning. 2. What is wrong with your family?
We're all crazy. And Mum's the only one who sleeps in all the time, and she never wants to get out of bed.
I think we're airing some family laundry here, people. So we better move on, Inca.
Where did you start walking?
So I left Federation Square. I'm going to finish at Federation Square in Melbourne. I left King George Square in Brisbane on Boxing Day. So that's where I started. Or when I was a little toddler, when my mum said, "Come here, come on, you can do it, big boy, come on." So either all those years ago, that's when I actually started walking. But the big walk, Boxing Day from King George Square in Brisbane. It's right in the middle of the city.
When is your birthday?
Boxing Day. Boxing Day, day after Christmas.
Where do you get your food?
Well, there's witchetty grubs that if you get in the trunk of a tree and you get it and all this squirmy and you have to hold the head and you're like, oh! But you swallow it because it's protein. Sometimes in cow poo, if you sift through it, you can find little bits of corn or look at her face. Look at her face. She's like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Gross. That was gross.
No, well, like an example is like right here. Your mum offered to make me a breakfast, so that's an example where I might get a meal, you know. But in my bag, I've got all of these protein bars because they're light, but they have lots of. Do you know what calories are? Calories give you energy, so they're like sugars and stuff in food that gives you energy. They have good calories. Do you know what protein is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like in meat and stuff, and that helps you heal damage to your body. So they're good for protein and calories, and it makes you stronger. Yeah, exactly. So I carry protein bars, but I also sometimes get kindness. Like I stayed with the Ridgewell family last night, and they gave me a dinner, which was just lovely. So yep, all kinds of food. No witchetty grubs. No, little bits of corn in cow poo. None of that. Just protein bars and kindness.
What is the worst thing that has happened so far?
Well, I mean, on one level, so I've got this mate, Archer, a young kid who is in Westmead Hospital at the moment. So he had to go into hospital to get a bone marrow treatment for his cancer. For me, that's the worst thing that I've come across in the walk. So I send him postcards. Shout out to Archer! He's a lovely kid and he shouldn't have to be sick. It's not right. But in terms of, for me, one time I was pitching camp at night on the beach and it started to rain. I needed to quickly set my camp up. So I was moving too fast. I wasn't careful. I was going through high grass, which is a bit of a silly thing to do, especially at night. And I did trip. So my foot got caught on a vine and I tripped, and I could just as easily have come down onto a spiky bit of wood and pierced myself and been severely hurt. So I did fall, and it was a reminder, be very, very careful, Simon. One time I sat down right next to a king brown snake as well in the middle of a national park. So I've had a couple of things that were just not very smart, but nothing terrible's happened. All of the bad things have been to make me stronger. So it's carrying a heavy pack, it's walking through horrible storms, and it's all to make me stronger and better. Yeah.
You know that question I just asked, what was the worst thing that happened?
Yeah.
You know your friend Archer?
Yeah.
That question was actually asked by my friend Archer at school.
Okay, so Archer now knows about the other Archer. I don't know if they actually use bows and arrows. It's probably the coolest name that I love the name Archer. Okay, so what have you got now, Inca?
What made you think of this idea?
Well, for me, the big walk started with my own need to heal myself, to fix myself. I was broken. And I remembered a walk that I had taken when I was much younger. I was 15 years old and I did a long walk. And it was a time of hope and healing for me. So that's what made me think, if I do a walk again, I might be able to fix myself. So then I realised if I'm going to do it, I should help a charity, and I'll superhero up for science. So that became Captain Australia's Big Walk. So that was the process of it, but it started with my own need to fix a broken life. And part of the Big Walk is that it really does show people that even if your life feels broken, you can fix it. It doesn't matter how broken it is, you can fix it. So yeah, but that's how it started. And when I realised I needed to help the charity, I decided to do the superhero up stuff.
We already know the answer to this. It was in another one. Are your parents?
So what about my parents?
Are you a parent?
Oh, am I a parent? Yes, I have 3 young sons. Yeah.
Why are you walking around Australia?
Well, not around Australia, Brisbane to Melbourne, and it's for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's an ordeal, so it's something to make me stronger. But then in doing something that is, it's big, it's a challenge, I hope to earn the regard of people in the public. They'll see that and go, look at what this guy's doing. I think the cause is worthwhile. Let's support it and let's help this charity. So and also it's a lovely country. And, we've been locked in our basements for a couple of years with all of the COVID stuff and all the rest. So it is just wonderful for me to be out in the open world, seeing beautiful towns like now. And so that's probably my 3 reasons. Yeah, the whole basis of it is really to earn the regard of the public and to fix myself up and to see beautiful places. Yeah.
Is it tiring walking around Australia?
Yes. Yeah, it is. Look, if you get up and it's like 6 in the morning, you pack your pack up, you put this heavy pack on your back, and you all day long, walking until night time. Yeah, you do get pretty tired. And for me, that's a wonderful thing. Every time I push past exhaustion, I am making a new, this is my level. So it's like I'm getting ching-ching experience, level up, ching-ching experience, level up, and just getting stronger every time. Yeah, so it's hard, but I'll be done in 14 days. This is my 70th day on the road. Day 84, I finish. And when I get there, I'm just going to be so much stronger than I was when I started.
Have you seen any koalas? And we already know.
Yeah, just
the animal
one.
koala.
And I tried to take a photo, and it looked almost like a termite's nest or something. So it was just huddled in the nook of a branch, and I'm sure it was a koala. It was in National Park near It was near a place called Harrington, in north of Sydney, in some national park there. But yeah, I have seen a koala. I actually live in Brisbane near a Lone Point Koala Sanctuary, it's called. So there's you can go there and cuddle koalas and all the rest. So I live right near a big sort of nest of koalas. But in the whole walk all the way down the eastern coastline, I've only seen one.
Are your feet sore?
Yes, they are, mate. Yeah, not as bad as you would think, but yeah, because I'm an older fella and I'm carrying around heavy gear, it does take its toll on your feet. The first weeks were terrible, blisters and all kinds of problems, and rain keeping my feet dry. But it's all good. Yeah, hurts a little bit, but I'm fine.
That's it.
That's it. Well, Inca, those were bloody lovely questions, my friend, and I'm so delighted. And look at you with your money box and the money that's been raised by the community. It's so wonderful. So I'm going to have to count all that out and process that stuff. But yeah, I just want to thank you so much. What a wonderful young person you are. And thank you for sharing those questions. And I think the way we filmed it, your mates at school will be able to watch it and get the answers direct too. So it's lovely. Really awesome. Thank you. And thank you to Mum and Dad. And thank you to Nowa Nowa. You're a movie star, Inca.